recording. Collect the data, working on early analysis, era, prof teaching stats, right on. It's like for future courses. So Peter, for sure, Ashley can assist you with, getting you trials and showing you. I mean, I think we have 80 courses or 80 lessons. So, okay, let's see what else we have going on here. So let's move on. So want to kind of talk about basics. If I'm boring some of you folks, I'm sorry, I will be brief, but there are certain things we need to know, and we'll talk about those basics. Melissa has put in how to create an account inside of the chat. Show you how to set up data. That's important. How to do analyses, how to download, and how to draft a discussion, and then Q&A. Although you can ask Q&A throughout, you don't have to wait till the end. You have questions, just ask along, okay? And then it'll be triaged to somebody, or they'll bring it to me and say, hey, Jim, answer this. Okay, so let's get to the basics. Variables is three broad-based types of variables in quantitative data. There is nominal data, which is Latin for name only. Not sure the exact Latin name, but I think it is close to that. And it's the most coarse type of measurement: male, female, non-binary, black, green, red, orange, things of this sort. They're just labels. Ordinal has both labels, small, medium, gazillion, large. Okay, so it does have labels, okay, but it also has an order: small before medium, medium before gazillion, large, and then scale. By the way, and it has that icon of the bar chart. And then scale has both names: 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch. It has order: 1 before 2, 2 before 3, and it has equal intervals or equal volumes. That's the key part. So, and the reason to know these are that different analyses require different levels of measurement. So that's why it's important to kind of get those in your brain if you don't have them already. And okay. I'm sure there's other properties that I'm missing, but the general thing is three levels, icons associated with it, which are tied into the tool, and what they mean. Okay. The other kind of broad thing we want to know is what an independent and dependent variable is. And generally speaking, the dependent variable is dependent upon the participant or the observation. Okay. How fast did that individual run a 5K race? Depends upon that individual. The independent variable is really typically under the control of the researcher, which is, I want to look at run times by age. I get to choose that, the age in the age groups. I want to look at that by sex, male, female. I want to look at that by region or country. So the broad description is that dependent variables depend upon the participants. The independent variable is typically manipulated or determined by the researcher. Okay, so let's just get logged in here. All right. There's your login URL, and then you'll want to click Intellect to Statistics. I guess this is a shameless plug that we also have qualitative, we also have courses, and we also have a lit review tool. So, and I think we can, while you're getting logged in, let me state the obvious, which are, these are obvious problems that most people I talk to have. Okay, they don't know what kind of test to conduct. They often do not know how to conduct it, particularly in SPSS, and then they don't know what that output means. So we've sought to streamline those three things by having a really clear decision tree, making it very easy to conduct an analysis that preloads assumptions, and having output that's in plain English prose So it literally says that is significant, that is not significant, and here's the implication of that, which I'll show you. Um, we can load up data sets. That's fine. I can show you that we have, for those teaching the course, somebody said that earlier. So we have lots of example data sets sitting in there, and then some um, curated to, or whether it's healthcare or otherwise. Okay. All right. What else? I have a data cleaning wizard inside of the tool. This came from guys like you listening to webinars and saying, "Hey, great tool. What are you doing for data cleaning?" I'm like, humana, humana, humana. Great comment. So now we've added a data cleaning wizard. Okay. For those that do analysis or those that are going to do analysis, and those that have done analysis know already that the data cleaning is like 90% of the job. Once you have clean data, you can do the analysis in 2 seconds. Um, okay. And then I'll talk about a discussion draft, and then we'll have other questions here. So let's just get to a few things. And Melissa, just stop me if there's a question along the way that seems appropriate for where I am in the process, and be happy to stop and answer that. So let's just look at what we have here. So it's a web-based tool, so there's no downloading of it. Goes behind your LMS, or you can get individual copies of this. Okay. All right. And then this is kind of the analysis part, which is, well, let me just go here. So you can upload projects here. Excuse me, upload data here. You can use example data sets sitting over here. And you can also paste in a flat file or enter data manually here. So the projects tab is really getting data in, or if there was a shared project, you can access it over here. Once you have data in, you can manage data here, okay? Create subscales is variable calculated to create subscales is useful. Reverse coding data, and then downloading your managed data. Here I just have a simple data set of Matchbox burnout scales and then a demographic. You can see those icons that I referred to earlier, okay, sitting here to see what kind of variables these are. Should be nominal because an ID, we don't care about that those are just labels, right? Participant 14. And then we have different plotting options. There's, 10 typical plots, very simple to use. Okay. Notice levels of measurement. Sure, add a regression line. So just simple plots to use. You can see the correlations included in that. You can export these things. Okay. You can do a whole range of analyses. Here I've done descriptives and correlations, and I'll do some of these things, hopefully with someone's data set. Okay. Here I just did, well, let's just go walk through some of this. And then I'll take a step back for data cleaning. So just for the analysis part, well, let's just do some of these. The thing to do is, well, let's just walk through some of this. Just to say that there's descriptives, there's correlations, there's t-tests, there's ANOVAs, MANOVAs, regressions, chi-squares, and other non-parametric tests, SEM modeling, to use Amos or what was it back in the day? So there's other SEM packages. And then we have really smooth ways of doing like mediation moderation. We use a framework of Preacher and Hayes, but it's much, much more easy. Easy to kind of run them here. Um, and then other analyses. Okay, so let me take a step back for a second. So these are kind of the analysis kinds of functionality, these top four. But if you're just starting your project or you're in the methodology, um, you'll want to figure out, what analysis am I doing? You can go to the decision tree and say, hey, I want to predict an outcome. Okay. Okay. And that outcome, here's our level of measurement again, is scale. Well, I'm doing a linear regression. Okay. So this can help you figure out what test you're doing. By the way, once you are knowing you're doing linear regression, guess what? Conduct analysis, it moves you right into conducting that analysis. So methodology, figure out what test you're doing. Once you know you're doing a regression, you can go to the data analysis plan, click on regression, and you can have a draft of, what you're seeking to accomplish with a multiple regression or linear regression, some of the assumptions of the regression, okay, and references. The other key thing that I used to struggle with myself is really a power analysis, particularly using G-power. That was a challenge for me. So here under the power analysis, you can go to your test and you can select, well, I have two predictors and get a sample size in 2 seconds. You can download this, okay, and edit this. It's reference and so forth. So a very quick way of getting a power analysis. There's a different conversation about effect sizes, but we can have that at some other point. But just to know, you can get sample sizes for dissertations, and there's probably a lot of DMPs on it who are very used to small sample sizes, like 5 or 10 or 15. You probably just want to cite the large effect size and work with your committee to say, guess what? I don't have 10 people in my clinic or whatever. Okay. So that's the broad overview of Intellectus, but let's go ahead and upload some data, clean some data, and conduct some analyses, and then we'll see if anybody has a shared project. And we'll take it from there. So if I go to upload data and go to Excel, and I think I have my, I do not have, let me see here, desktop. Of course, I don't have my data sitting right there. Hang on a second here. Let me just find that. I have, oh, let's do this. Let's just go to, let's do this. Let's go, and if you folks want to follow along, that's fine. Let's just go to masterclass data and create a project. And here we just have some basic nominal ordinal scale. What I want to do is just download this data though. And I just want to demonstrate the upload piece. So to upload data, it's going to go to upload here. Go to, I have a CSV file, go to choose file. And now I still don't have my data sitting here. Why is that? Here. Okay. So select the file and choose upload. Once you have your data uploaded, you can do things like check for multiple headers, fix your variable names. Sometimes the whole question is in there. It will identify if there are misspellings. Sometimes males with a capital M and with a small m, we both mean the same exact sex of male. So you can fix those variable names there. You can change Likert type uh, labels into numbers prior to creating a subscale. So what I mean by that is that very often, depending upon how you exported your data, you might well have strongly disagree label the words to strongly agree, okay, label in your data set. Well, we need to change those from labels into numbers and then be able to add those numbers together or average those items together, okay, to create a subscale. And all of those functions can happen, by the way, and all of those can happen here as well. So I can reverse code a particular scale. I can create a sum or average. I can create a new variable here. Okay, pretest. Okay, and then get a mean composite or something of this sort. This should just be average. Average. Okay, GPA. GPA. Ah, okay. So you can just create variables here, but the data clean wizard helps you to do all of that. Okay. Once you have data in, you can plot data. So I can plot, for example, GPA. Okay. Let's just say by age group. And here you can see GPA pre and post by different age groups. Look kind of different in the beginning, kind of getting closer, or at least for the under 50, getting closer at post test. And then analyses, as I say, very simple. Just go to analysis like descriptives. Let's look at GPA by age group, since they look very different before. Oh, well, let's just look at those two variables. Just add to the analysis. And here you can see APA tables come out, a little description of what's in that table. APA tables come out. Nice scroll over here, see what these symbols mean. And then a little right up here. To run correlations, just select, add the variables. Let's just do this. So put the variables in. And here for the correlations, we talk about that correlations are effect sizes. They should have the assumptions of linearity. You can scroll over to see if they look more linear or not. That doesn't look very linear there. And then you have the two ways of presenting the tables, the triangle or list. And in the results document, it does say, hey, gosh, a significant positive correlation between pre and post. Here's the correlation. It identifies it's a moderate effect. And then there's the interpretation of each of these things. Hey, when GPA pre increases, GPA post tends to increase. All right. T-tests, ANOVAs, same kind of a thing. If we click on the test, click on the variable, the out dependent variable, click on the independent variable. So I'm looking to see if there's differences in GPA pretest by age group. Just going to add to the analysis. So here you can see the assumptions are built in. It identifies the assumption, identifies the test that's going to look at that assumption. It actually runs it and then interprets it. When that's non-significant, that means normality is met. Again, another assumption. It's assessed with the Levene test. It conducts the Levene test and evaluates the Levene test. Outliers, ditto, no outliers here. And here is just the output. So, here we have, hey, guess what? The ANOVA is significant. This is one way of reporting it. Okay. And you can see that because that P is less than 0.05. You can see the effect size here. And a little bar chart. And once we have, look at the means. And once we have a significant ANOVA, the post hocs are automatically generated, which is really comparing the under 30 mean to the 30 to 50, under 30 to 51 and older, and so forth. And the 30 to 50 to the 51. And whether or not they're significant or not. Okay. All right, you get the idea there. Then I guess it's important to show that we can download all of these analyses, the results. And in the results here, here we have, well, all of the tables and figures are numbered appropriately. We have the descriptives and the correlations, the ANOVA. We also have the all APA style references for all the in-text citations, a curated glossary of the terms and symbols for each of the tests that were conducted, descriptives, correlation, and ANOVA. And then we also have some raw output that has some additional information that is not in the write-up itself. Okay. So the other thing I'd like to show is the discussion draft. And in the discussion draft, when you click on generate discussion, it does a quick AI run. So let me just say, the results are all driven by R. So those numbers are precise. That is not AI whatsoever. Okay. However, the discussion chapter is AI. And in this portion, you'll want to put in a draft name, add your research questions, and identify GPA pre and post. Or you may have some acronym of a particular scale. Okay. Go to next. It's going to want a name here. Okay. And then you'll want to endorse that. I verified everything. Okay. What is the result of that? So the result of that is this is another data set. Here's a set of analyses. And under the discussion draft, this was a study around the matchlock burnout. And you can see it has kind of an introduction to into the results, key findings. Okay, so it's going to start interpreting these findings, but it's important that it's interpreting your findings relative to the literature that's out there. So, an unexpected positive correlation, that's kind of a cool thing. You run your study. Well, it's cool in two ways. You run your study and you said, hey, my findings differ than the study that's out there or studies that are out there. So that should say two things to you. One is, hey, maybe I didn't make my scales correctly. So that's something that you may not have known. So you want to double check that. But if your results are accurate, then, hey, gosh, you found something different in your population relative to other studies in the past. That's kind of a cool thing. There's also the theoretical implications of your findings. Okay, what does this mean for theory? What does this mean for practice? What are the limitations of your study? Hey, guess what? I have a small sample size there. Other limitations. Future research. What is some of the future research that you can suggest going forward? So this is just a rough draft, but it's probably a 15-hour time saver to draft all of this. Okay. You'll have to edit every sentence of it, but it does speed up that process. Okay. And then some conclusion, and then references also have to be vetted very, very closely. So, so what do we do? So we've uploaded some data. We have conducted some analyses and downloaded them. Okay. We've also then shown how to then get a discussion draft, okay, of your results by first conducting analyses, then generating the discussion draft, and you can download that and edit that. Okay. For the faculty, I think I want to just peek at a sample lesson. And for students, you could also get these lessons as well. It's just for a pair t-test. And you can see over here, you can open up your example data set. There's an overview, okay, of what is a t-test and so forth. What are the objectives of this lesson? Okay. Definitions and examples. And we have that data set sitting in there. Assumptions of a t-test. Okay. Kind of research questions or hypotheses or study aims that you can ask with regard to a t-test. How you interpret that output. Okay. There's a knowledge check, which happens to be a competency-based knowledge check. So those grades will go to your grade book. That's under here, excuse me. Knowledge check. All right. And those 10 questions will go to you. And then some summary. Okay. So let me go back and see if there are any shared projects. If not, I'll just sally forth here. Or if you want to, well, you can email me your data too, but so I'll just carry on here. So let me just stop for a second before I carry on. So are there any questions about uploading data, plotting data, managing data, conducting any analysis, looking to figure out what tests to run, and looking to determine that sample size or draft a discussion? So there's lots of runway there.
And you can ask questions in the chat, in the Q&A, or if you want to raise your hand, we can unmute you too.
Sure. So, so the decision tree, which will be worked on, but this is a user-friendly way to figure out what kind of tests you should be conducting. You have to know what an independent and dependent variable are. You have to know what levels of measurements are. Here, well, I want to explore differences between groups. Okay. Do I have more than one dependent variable? No, I just have my whatever GPA pretest. Do I have any covariates? Haven't discussed that, but covariates are variables that could be related to the outcome variable that is not the primary research question. And do I have more than one independent variable? Nope. I want to look at GPA by age group. Okay, more than 2 levels. Yeah, I had 0 to 30, 30 to 50, over 50. So to have over more than 2 levels, yep. So I'm doing an ANOVA test. Now you also have the Crisco-Wallace in there as an alternative if the ANOVA assumptions are violated. And in fact, when you conduct tests in Intellectus, the if your assumption is violated, that non-parametric will automatically run a Crisco-Wallace. So you'll kind of get both of those. So that's one kind of thing. And by the way, play with this. You can't break it, and and as long as you know those levels of measurements and what IV and DV are, you're probably in pretty good shape. The other consideration is um, is that um, that it brings you to most of the analyses, but it doesn't bring you to time series or SEM or something of this sort. Okay, it's going to take you to these typical correlations, chi-squares, you know, ANOVA t-test regression kind of business. Okay. All righty. Other questions? I'm just looking a few minutes. Recording. So okay, so yes, so this webinar is being recorded and will be sent to you all. I'd also like to just show you that we do have a new website out, okay, called Intellectus 360. And in that, we go through the Intellectus statistics software, but I'd like to also highlight that we do have a lit review tool that really is helping to organize any amount of articles, okay, group them semantically, write a synthesis around them, write a description of each article, and give you a gap in literature based on your research questions in about an hour. So it doesn't improve your writing, but it definitely speeds up that first draft. Okay. We also have a qualitative tool for those doing mixed methods. And here, that qualitative tool is really going to do inductive or deductive coding, which is you put in your transcripts. It's going to excerpt important passages, combine similar passages, develop a code name and code description, and then collapse those codes into themes and a few other things. But that's worth looking at, and that's all sitting under Intellectus 360. And Melissa, if you can put that into the chat, just so you know where to find that website which has these, or share that with other folks. Okay. All right. Okay. Um, okay. If others are open to this, I'd love to see another example lesson, perhaps in ANOVA. Okay, so hey, I just did an ANOVA, so I'm not going to do that, but I'll do something else though.
I think,
Um,
Peter, do you mean the lessons for the students?
oh, the lessons. I'm sorry.
Because we can follow up.
Another
Ashley will,
lesson.
yeah,
Oh,
Ashley will follow up and we can send links to you.
got it. No, okay, right. So yes, so we can get you all of those. Okay. Sorry, I missed that. I missed that lesson part of it. Yeah. So there's a Melissa. Do we have under here do we have the lessons listed here?
Yeah, under the individual tools, we do.
Okay, got it. So under statistics and then under curriculum,
Yeah.
should probably call that courses, but okay, fine. And then some of the benefits. And then here are the lessons sitting here. So there's some fundamental lessons here, non-parametrics, different ANOVA lessons. So this kind of mirror the analyses we have. All right, so you can see them all sitting here. Research design, that's probably the top of the list. This is alphabetical. No, it's not alphabetical. Okay, well, nevertheless. So you can see the different lessons we have sitting here. Okay. All competency based, and then you could fill out information or if you're on here, that's fine. Does the system allow for SEM modeling? So yes, and I'm curious, Melissa, do we have SEM sitting here and the other ones, I don't see them. Um, but we do have lessons for them. I know we have CFA and SEM lessons, but just need to get them in here. Um, and then we do have it in the tool itself under the analyses. I have to select the project. Well, what I should have done, I'm not going to go through a whole thing, but we do have example data sets um, for SEM and for CFA and so forth and PATH. And then so yes, we do have analyses, and we should be, you know, I'd like to see how many. It's okay, Edmore. I'd like to see how many folks are actually doing this because I know this is a heck of a lot easier than Amos. Um, so let me just see here. Let me see what I can do here. So I don't know. Uh, 2, 3. Okay, so for here, to select this. Okay, so visual 1, visual 2, just to share with you visual 3. I am not an expert at this, so we're going to find out exactly how. So a novice can run this is probably and then here, loadings probably go this way, and loadings probably go this way. And then a regression maybe goes in there. And then I have to name this, and then a visual. And then text. Okay, let's see if I can run this thing. So, so as with the other analyses, the assumptions are built in with scrollovers. Other assumptions, APA tables of all the loadings, visual diagram of it. They're not the best diagrams in the world, but at least they have the loadings on each on each path. Sample size, model fit indices. This is just generated just from what was just done. Okay. And then interpretation and download. So there's a lot of power to be had here. Again, it probably doesn't do everything of what an Amos can do, frankly, or it's the other one is the M plus. They may have allow for more complexity, but I think for the usual kind of SEM, I think you could probably get through here with this. Okay. Other questions? Questions, comments?
We have one in the Q&A.
Okay. All right. My test is easy. Perfect. Okay, I have a 20% compliance before instruments and 100% compliance after instruments. I know I'm supposed to use a paired t-test. No, you are not. But my sample size is 8 staff. So to me, when I see so I think you have a different test. So basically, I think you're in proportion land, okay? And under true proportion Z test, I have, you have, okay, so before instruments, okay, you have a sample size of 8, okay, and you had 20%, 10%, 10% is 0.8. So what? 1 point. So sample size. So you're 20%. So what is that? Two people? Okay. That's 25%. So how do you have 20% with 8 people? 1.6. So let's just keep it straight here. So I'm not sure of your numbers. Or my thinking, one of the two is off. Okay, so 0.16. Right. Uh, is that right? Yeah, 1.6. Okay. So let's just say 20% before, and my portion after, sample size is 8, 100%. I'm cool with that. So really we're counting this 20% to this 100%. It has to have assumptions no matter assumptions looked at, which you're not going to really be. Well, I won't say that you'll never meet it with 8, but anyway, there's a normality consideration to be had. Here we can see, hey, guess what? That was significant. That is our 16% versus our 100%, and that was significant. We're saying that, hey, gosh, this proportion was statistically lower than this one, or this one's statistically higher than this one, and so forth. So I think that's where we're at here. Other questions or thoughts? Don't get tied in. Probably this is for the DMP folks. I mean, I know like a vast majority of folks are doing paired t-tests, but that's not always the right answer. Okay. As I believe this one um, is something different. So double check that you're right doing the correct test there. Um, you know, okay. Other thing I'll say at the end of this is let me just get some info over here. Current slide. So just to put out some contact info, you can use the QR code to schedule a free needs assessment. Samantha, Ashley, and Melissa's email addresses are there, and general phone number and website is there. And you can contact us with any, again, faculty or students. All right. Uh, I think there's no more questions. Melissa, be good there?
Yep, I don't have any more questions.
Great. Terrific. So I wish everyone a great holiday coming up. Happy New Year. And we'll see you all next time. You'll get the recording and then upcoming webinars on qualitative, other quant methodology. And we do one once in a while around lit review. So with that, I'll wish everyone a great rest of the week and stay safe and happy. Okay, bye all.